Okay, righty ho, boys and girls, welcome to Charles 1K92's video. And for tonight, I have some very special news. So recently, having a little look on my tablet, which is doing the recording at the moment, I was able to come across a video which had none other than Assassin's Creed Valhalla actual gameplay. And I'll have to turn around and tell you one thing. It never changes my mind. Oh, I love it. I love the fact how I am, for once, glad I didn't buy this. And for once I'm happy. If you are hearing any form of explosions, they are some fireworks outside, so there's nothing I can do about that. So yes, the video of this has, a very probably well popular YouTube channel has had access to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Due to how I guess how they've played the game, they've probably had it way more earlier than anticipated, and they've probably already completed the game on the most hardest difficulty and probably have all the trophies unlocked for it by this moment in time. Anyway, so when they start off the stream, the video of the game in question, they go through more or less what it is that you can choose. Not just the difficulty, how you choose the exploration, how more or less you choose your stealth, and I think going from memory of just finishing watching it, it then jumps into the genetic memory. Now, here's the best thing about this, of why I hate this idea, of what... Keeping in mind, Darby's the one that signs all this off, so it's on his head that I don't like him for this. So when we start off, we actually go into the genetic memory as we have done in the past Odyssey, Origins, and I think generally for most AC titles we do start off in the past. So it's not necessarily that bad thing. However, we get to meet a seer who's talking about how the Earth is formed, at least from the Nordic mythology of it all. Talking about how there was nothing in the beginning, so generally nothing existed. However, fire and ice came, they collided, and they then eventually they gave birth to what we would consider to be the 9 realms, the universe that is kind of like holding them all together, along with a giant who, gave us everything. If let's just go along. And this is me simplifying it, so that way, if you really wanted to find it out, I highly suggest that you go and either read about the Norse mythology a little bit more than I have to find everything out to make it all simple. Okay, fine. So eventually we get to see child Eivor. Now, it's a bit of a thing for me when they start off as children. They've done this with Odyssey when we start playing as well, I don't want to say start playing as, but it's the same thing as when you play as a child from Odyssey. Like, they make sure that the gender of the child is completely unknown. Hair is shaved. There's no obviously features of masculinity or femininity. So it's practically, you have no idea. Which is, for me, it's just fair enough. However, Eivor, dark hair, short... a load of clothing for warmth, which, okay, I don't know how, that can be screwed up. And to be honest, I skipped quite a lot of this just to see at what point when the memory would be fucked, because at some point it does fuck up. So, it happens. So the genetic memory is interrupted because Eivor gets attacked. I'm glad. I now know why Eivor apparently does have a fear of wolves, perhaps. Eivor doesn't like wolves because Eivor was attacked by a wolf when they were little. So I'm actually hoping that every single time that a wolf attack ever happens to a young Eivor, that I hope the wolf kills Eivor every time, all the time, so that way the memory doesn't get watched. So you get this, then it's interrupted. But the reason of the interruption is this, alright? So generally there is usually a reason as to why one will be pulled out of the animus. This doesn't happen. We're not pulled out of the animus, you're still inside the animus, and you hear Layla more or less panting and breathing in somewhat shock that she's been jerked out of the animus. So I suspect that this is a very good reason to explain, well, why do you reckon that is? Could it be because while you are reliving that memory, you're more or less getting the same reactions as that person did, that you kind of like your brain tricks you into thinking that these things are actually happening to you, like it did with Desmond when he had his ring finger, not missing, but was burnt by the Italian Brotherhood to show his sign of allegiance to the Brotherhood. And Desmond kind of, when he came out, he checked his ring finger to see if he had the mark put on him, but it wasn't the case. It felt very real to him, but it wasn't really happening. However, we're told for the reason as to the why it has something to do with the stream. Right? So what is the stream? I mean, I'm perplexed. Stream of what? DNA? What? The DNA is somewhat corrupted? Are you sure? Okay, so it's very interesting then. So where did you get the sample from then? Out of curiosity, where is this sample? I mean, from Origins, we had Bayek Asiwa's dead body to go with, and we had generally no problems, except for the fact that Layla had to take some medication just to make sure that she stayed stable. So that happened. With Odyssey, the reason why we didn't know what DNA to follow was because there were two separate strands, and the argument was, well, one of these strands has to be the right one, but no matter which one you chose, they both ended up being the same. So it made it completely irrelevant. But Cassandra is canon, mind you. And then this is where it is. So in order for you to make sure that you follow the correct stream, or more or less go with the one that has the best signal. So how does one get to that then? I thought it was DNA. I thought that DNA was something that we could very easily follow on and be able to pursue very easily. Because if Origin tells us anything, Origins is simplistic in its nature of the DNA on how you get it. Odyssey, they fucked it up completely to appease those that don't need to be appeased. A game can be enjoyable without the option of choice. Alright? You can, I mean, to be quite honest, I'd much rather not have difficulty in any of the Assassin's Creed games. I liked them how they were. The challenge was more or less you using this to figuring out how you got from point A to point B. Yes, it was linear. Yes, it might be boring. And yes, it probably would have bored the heck out of people today to play any of the past titles because they have no attention span. However, my attention span would be for this. You get rid of the choice, you get rid of the difficulty, you get rid of the fucking stealth options. Alright, because I mean apparently that's now a thing. You can say how difficult you need it to be in order for you to do stealth. There is no difficulty, it is how it is on the environment. You don't get the option of choice whether the guards notice you better or not. It's more or less how well you play as the quote-unquote the assassin. Anyway, so Eivor path as far as the YouTuber is concerned decides to go with the male option. However, the default option, right, the something which is default by its name, is the middle option where you leave it up to the animus to decide. So, again, we get no explanation, not one in the beginning, as to the why. Now, albeit you can say, oh, but Charles, this is the opening. You can't be expected to know. Yes, I can. I can expect to know because it's not how it works. You can't just give me something, present it and say, by the way, it's this. Okay, what's the reasoning? And nothing is said. I guarantee you there will be nothing at any moment in the time of the games, beginning, middle and end, where you get anything to explain as to why. Why should I let the animus choose? Or better still, whether or not this idiot will decide later on to change from having cock and balls to tits and vagina. Perhaps maybe they'll change their mind as to show like, oh, I decided to play the female one for this change. No. The only reason why it's probably why he's doing it the way he's doing it is because he wants to have changeability at some point. So that way he can do the replay of it again on a much more harder difficulty as the female Eivor to say, oh, look how badass she is. That's the excuse I am imagining. But anyway, back on Eivor very quickly. Okay, so here it is. So time has skipped by and Eivor has apparently grown up. And I've chosen to skip all the way through until Sigurd returns. I did get to the point where Eivor has a vision, more or less of being high on some narcotic drug, where apparently Eivor saw Odin and a wolf apparently. And then Eivor gets told their destiny, about how they're destined to go into the halls of Valhalla, and also how he saw Sigurd losing an arm and there's a blood trail, and how it is Eivor who will betray his brother. Anyway, so I skipped it up to the point where Sigurd apparently makes a return and he's back and he's talking about stuff. And I skipped it a little bit further to get the assassins involved. And apparently, from what I gathered from the conversation, Sigurd was told about the Brotherhood. He knows about them, and I would believe that he would be indoctrinated in the Order at this point. I mean, he spent 2 years away from his homeland. He's been raiding, raping and pillaging, as a Viking would do, in wherever he met the Hidden Ones. And if it is in Constantinople where he's met them, which I'm inclined to believe that he would have done, going from perhaps maybe where the Levantine Brotherhood's expansionism is, Basim, who is the assassin mentor at this time, is in charge. Now, this is interesting. So, they shared with Sigurd information and secrets and probably tools of the trade. What does Sigurd do? Which was already explained ages ago. Sigurd decides to gift Eivor the Hidden Blade. I'm telling you now, if I was going to have a heart attack, it would have been then. So Basim's apprentice, you can tell from if you watch it, if you're going to play, you will tell if you watch how he is concerned. Why wouldn't you be? You're giving an outsider, right? So this does include Sigurd here on this outsider. You're giving somebody that you've probably known for less than a year an item and tool of your trade, right? You've shared knowledges and secrets with him, and you've given him one of the blades. Judging from how his attire looks, it doesn't look like he sacrificed the ring either, so he's not really affiliated with them, and yet they gave him the hidden blade, and yet he's given that to Eivor. Eivor, going for the choice of dialogue in what the chap said, the weapon is beautiful. Yes, it is. It is actually quite lovely. It's a lovely bit of engineering. Try it on. Okay. And I was wanting to see whether or not they'd say anything. But Basim's little apprentice says, but this is unorthodox. He's an outsider and he does not know anything about our ways. It's a sacred tool. And for some reason, apparently, Basim just shuts his apprentice down and says, oh, stop going on about this orthodoxy sort of shit. I'm the mentor. I do what I like. Yeah. There's a reason why I don't trust this Brotherhood. I'm glad at some point this motherfucker must die at the hands of the Templar Order. I'm betting on it. I'm betting on it he somehow dies. He has to. For his own stupidity. He should have left well enough alone, left Sigurd alone, not gone near him at all, and the Brotherhood would have been fine. No. Just no. But yeah, they do make a remark on how the blade should be worn with the flick of the wrist, showing the blade being hidden and saying it shouldn't be worn how you're wearing it, Eivor, you should be wearing it like this way. And then Eivor has the gall to say, well, I like wearing it this way, it's much more better than you two. Right. Okay. Yeah, Sigurd, about us giving you that item, you're going to give it back to us. Why? Because, for one, we are stupid for giving it to you, so we're going to, we're going to cancel the game here. We're going to cancel all the storyline, we're going to make it very simple. Hidden blade in Sigurd's neck first, hidden blade in your neck, Eivor, hidden blade in everyone in this settlement because they're all a bunch of murderers. And game finished. Done. Memory finished, over, goodbye, sorry, you made the wrong choice. And I know I'm flummoxing around and I'm waving my hands just to cause a bit more excitement. But I'm telling you, it's one of the worst decisions that Derby has ever made. It doesn't make sense to me. There's nothing that explains this. And I can't even imagine, at what point would you sign that off? Oh, because it shows... No, it has nothing to do with the culture. Abel either commits to wearing the blade and wears it properly, and is fully indoctrinated into the order, which would thereby mean him abandoning the clans of the Vikings and never going to England, staying at home and sorting out his own mess. That is what they would have done. Get your affairs sorted at home first before doing anything else. Nope. Retreats, leaves, goes to England, rapes, pillages. And yet the assassins do nothing. It's no wonder. It's generally no wonder why I hate this game so much. Anyway, so that's it. So I'll probably do another one of these, maybe, who knows, given on how things are currently with YouTube's slightly disturbing algorithms and doodads and doodahs and whatever. So anyway, I have been me, you have been you. Now, if you guys like to leave a comment down below, that'd be much appreciated. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that little bell icon. See you later.